Welcome back for another deep dive. You know we love to get into some of the most puzzling mysteries, and today is no different. It's a true crime case that'll send chills down your spine.
Certainly will.
The disappearance of an entire family in Death Valley National Park.
It's one of those stories that makes you really think twice about venturing off the beaten path,
Exactly.
especially in a place like Death Valley.
Especially in a place like Death Valley. So, to set the scene, we're going back to 1996,
Okay.
middle of summer. Picture a family. The Rimkus-Meyer family.
Yeah, right.
Egbert Rimkus, Cornelia Meyer, and their two kids, 10-year-old Max and 4-year-old Jorg. They're from Dresden, Germany.
A family vacation.
Yeah, they're on a road trip, experiencing the classic American Southwest vacation, hitting all the spots, Disneyland, national parks, the whole shebang.
And from what we can gather, they were having a wonderful time. Makes their disappearance even more baffling.
You're telling me their last confirmed sighting was actually on July 22nd at a motel in Independence, California.
Right outside Death Valley.
Right outside Death Valley. Their plan was to head south, right into the park itself.
Into the heart of it. And that's where things take a turn for the mysterious. On July 23rd, they drove their rented minivan deeper into Death Valley.
Okay.
And it seems like they went off the main roads.
Oh.
Maybe they were trying to find a ghost town or some historic mine. A lot of people are drawn to those desolate, beautiful spots.
I get it. I totally get it. But we're talking Death Valley in the middle of summer.
Not exactly forgiving terrain.
That's an understatement. It holds the record for the highest temperature ever recorded on Earth, right?
That's right, over 134 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oof.
You can only imagine what that must have been like.
So they drive into this intense landscape, and then...
They vanish. Nobody sees them after that day. Months later, a park ranger finds their rented Plymouth Voyager minivan abandoned in a remote canyon. Anvil Canyon, to be exact.
Anvil Canyon. What's that like? Paint me a picture.
It's rugged, steep slopes, sandy washes, towering rock formations. The works.
Sounds intense.
It's miles from any paved road. And the van was found stuck in the sand, flat tires, miles from any marked trail.
Wait a second. They're stuck in this remote canyon in the middle of the Death Valley with the summer heat blasting.
Yeah.
And then their van is found completely empty. This is crazy. It's like something out of a movie.
It is. But this was real life, with very real consequences. Inside the van, they found maps, Disneyland souvenirs, a diary. It's chilling to think about.
I bet. Did those items tell investigators anything? Any
Oh,
hints
right.
at what happened?
Well, the contents of the diary haven't been released to the public,
Ah, okay.
but those everyday items tell a story. A family on vacation, suddenly in a very desperate situation.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, the van's air conditioning is broken. It looks like their water supplies were low, too.
Oh, no.
In Death Valley, that's a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So what happened then? Did they try to walk out and find help?
That's what they thought at first.
Makes sense.
Broken down van, dwindling supplies. You can see why they might try to hike out. But walking in that kind of heat, without enough water and not really knowing the terrain, it's incredibly risky. And Death Valley's a tricky place.
Yeah, how so?
The vast distances, the heat, it can play tricks on your eyes.
Oh, like mirages and stuff? You
Exactly.
can't tell how far things are?
It's hard to even know what's real and what's not.
Wow.
So you're not just fighting the heat, but also this disorienting landscape.
So even if they did try to walk out,
Right.
the chances wouldn't have been great.
Sadly, not really. Death Valley's famous for its extreme heat.
Right.
Even a short walk can be deadly if you're not prepared.
No kidding. So the search must have been huge.
It was one of the biggest Death Valley had ever seen. Hundreds of square miles of rugged terrain
Yeah.
under that scorching sun,
Wow.
trying to find any trace of this family.
What did they find?
Nothing. Weeks went by, then
Yeah.
months.
Oh, my.
The case went cold. For years, nobody knew what happened to the Rimkus-Meyer family.
A family on vacation,
Yeah.
exploring this beautiful but dangerous place. And then they just vanish.
It's a reminder that nature is powerful,
Yeah.
and we have to respect its limits.
For sure.
But there's more to the story.
Oh.
In 2009, more than a decade later,
Wow.
two Death Valley explorers,
Okay.
Tom Mahood and Les Walker,
Right.
they decided to look into the case again.
What made them do that?
They knew the area well.
Huh.
They'd studied the original search data,
Okay.
and they had a feeling something had been missed.
So they were the real deal.
Oh, yeah, experienced desert explorers.
So how did they approach it?
They started by really digging into that original search data,
Okay.
looking for anything that might have been overlooked. They also used their knowledge of the area
Uh-huh.
to try and figure out where the family might have gone,
Oh, interesting.
considering things like the terrain, the weather, and the fact that they had young children with them.
Right.
Like putting together a puzzle, but with really high stakes.
Yeah.
After weeks of searching, they found something.
What was it?
Human bones!
No way.
Miles from the van,
Wow.
scattered across this remote part of Anvil Canyon.
So after all those years, they found them.
They did. But it was a sad discovery.
Yeah.
The location of the remains, so far from the van,
Uh-huh.
it told a story of desperation,
Oh, wow.
a struggle against the elements.
And they were sure it was them.
They found personal items nearby,
Like what?
a wallet, shoes,
Really?
and DNA testing later confirmed it.
Wow.
At least some of the bones belonged to Cornelia Meyer and at least one of the children.
It's a tragic ending, but at least there's some closure. After all this time,
Yeah.
it confirms they didn't just vanish.
Yeah.
They died out there trying to survive.
Right. But it also raises new questions.
Like what?
Why that particular route? What were their last moments like? We still don't know their exact destination within Death Valley.
Yeah, that's true. And what about that diary? Could it have clues
It's possible.
about their plans or why they went off-road?
Yeah. Maybe. But we don't know for sure. The authorities haven't shared its contents.
So it's like the desert's holding on to its secrets.
It kind of is, revealing them bit by bit.
Makes you wonder what was going through their minds
Yeah,
as they faced that incredible heat in such a vast landscape.
it really does. But we can learn from what happened to them. Their story is a reminder that we have to plan carefully,
Yeah.
be prepared when we go into the wilderness.
It's interesting because Death Valley is a huge tourist spot.
It is.
People come from all over the world
They do.
to see this incredible, stark beauty. But I think sometimes we forget how dangerous it can be.
Absolutely. The name Death Valley should tell you something.
Right.
It's a place of extremes, demanding respect. The Park Service does a great job making it accessible, providing information.
Yeah.
But in the end, we each have to take responsibility for our own safety out there.
So what are some things visitors should absolutely keep in mind? What could have made a difference in this case?
Well, water is the biggest one. You need more than you think, especially if you're hiking or going off the paved roads.
Makes sense.
Dehydration can hit you fast in Death Valley.
It's not like you can just stop for a bottle of water out there.
Nope. You have to be completely self-sufficient. And try to avoid the hottest parts of the day.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Early mornings and evenings are much safer for exploring.
So plan around the heat,
Exactly. Staying on paved roads is a good rule of thumb, too.
especially if you don't know the area well.
Right. You can get stuck if you go off-roading, like what happened to the Rimkesmeyers.
Yeah.
Plus, cell service and GPS can be spotty out there.
So if you do go off-road,
Make sure you have good maps, a reliable car, and a solid plan.
it all comes back to preparation.
It does.
Knowing the risks, packing right, having a plan.
All of that can make a huge difference in a place like Death Valley.
And even with the best preparation, things can still go sideways.
That's true. You have to be aware of your surroundings, pay attention to how you're feeling,
Yeah.
and know when to turn back if things get too dicey.
Don't let ambition get in the way of safety.
Exactly. Nature doesn't care about our plans.
That's a good way to put it.
We have to approach it with humility and a whole lot of respect.
Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive
It has.
and a sobering reminder about the power of nature
Yeah.
and the importance of being responsible when we travel.
The Rimkesmeyer case is a tragedy, but it's also a lesson for all of us.
Definitely. We can learn from what happened to them.
And hopefully prevent something like this from happening again.
True crime, no bull.